We're going to call the meeting to order. Just a couple of quick things. We are going to call the meeting to order. We're going to seat the new board members and then adopt the agenda before we get rolling. We can't adopt the agenda before we have the board members seated. So, we have a little bit of oath of office for the two of you. Welcome. It is an honor that you were elected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets a course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure that all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community. We must assure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children. As a board member, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together with the superintendent and staff to lead the district towards fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the area of academic, skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. And then if the two of you can repeat together, do you mind?
Sure. Having signed the acceptance of office and oath of office, I hereby publicly affirm my commitment to the oath of office. I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member of Independent School District number 741 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Great. Okay, at this point we have all of us on the school board. We are going to move the agenda to the next item before we do the election of officers. So do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
A motion by Cheryl.
Second.
Second by Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Okay, then we have the organization of the board election of officers. So we will start with the chair's position. And do we have nominations for the chair's position?
I nominate Bruce Vanderpool.
Okay, we have one nomination. Do we have other nominations for the chair's position? Do we have other nominations for the chair's position? Seeing no other nominations, we will close up nominations, and I guess I prefer to take a vote on this one. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no.
I think as long as you have nobody answers opposed, I think you're fine.
Yeah. Okay, now we have the next is the vice chair's position. So do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Mark Dingman.
Okay. We have one nomination for vice chair, Mark Dingman. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, seeing that we have no other nominations, We will close the nominations, and Mark Smith, or Mark, is the only candidate nominated for the office of vice chair, and I hereby declare him elected by acclamation and directing the acting clerk so to record in the minutes. Okay? Next position is the position of the treasurer. Do we have nominations for the position of the treasurer? I'll make a nomination to nominate Cheryl. Are there any other nominations for the treasurer? Any other nominations for the treasurer? Seeing no other nominations, Cheryl is the only candidate nominated for the office of treasurer, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation and direct the acting clerk so to record in the minutes. Okay, do we have a nomination for clerk?
I nominate Lou.
Okay, we have Lou nominated for clerk. Do we have any other nominations for clerk? Any other nominations for clerk? Seeing no other nominations, we will close the nominations. Being that Lou is the only candidate nominated for the office of clerk, I hereby declare him elected by acclamation and direct the acting clerk to so record in the minutes. Okay. District 741 is proud of Matthew Quaid for being named to the St. Cloud Times All-Area Football Team for the 2014 season. And now we have public comment. For everybody on public comment, it's open to anybody on what you'd like to say, and floor is open. Anybody have comments? Seeing nobody for public comment, we will move on.
Could
Go ahead.
we possibly move at this point to Maxie as supervising?
Okay, let's do it right here. So we are going to move Max from the very tail end to right now.
Yeah, there's a number of activities going on tonight. We have boys basketball at home with the dance team dancing, and then on my phone here because the person running sound isn't sure that his equipment's going to be ready for tonight, so I got to go to do some things. We have gymnastics and girls hockey at home as well. I sent out an email, I don't know if everybody got it, regarding a change or an enforcement of an NFHS rule regarding wrestling tournament. If you're aware of how we used to run a wrestling tournament, there'd be 3 mats right down the center of our gym. And the State High School League has chosen to now enforce the NFHS guidelines for space around it. Long story short, we can only run our 3-mat wrestling tournament with pulling one side of the bleachers out and leaving the other one in. We were able to get through fine on Friday, but in the 14 weight classes, we had, the teams that we had there was only one bracket of 8 wrestlers. So needless to say, if our program develops into something like it had been in the past, or to attract those types of teams, we're unable to be able to with our current facilities. Simply can't do it. Additionally, I spoke with Mr. Hewitt today. We were just able to find a host for 7th through 9th grade section wrestling. There's a league 9th grade and under for the junior high, and due to the fact that we don't have the facilities, we couldn't offer to host it. But just today I got an email this event for our students on January 24th was able to be finalized because Mora has agreed to do this. So just want you to be aware of as we talk about facilities, and certainly we had a project on the ballot and there were some things that may not have been definite needs, but there certainly are needs within our district and our facilities to continue to be addressed if we want to be able to offer the types of programs that we do at this time. Some space issues just so you to be aware of, just happen to be in the midst of them, so I bring them up. I'm tracking this stuff as well. On Thursday, we had some schools that canceled because of weather, therefore a lot of our games had been postponed. Because of that, we actually had to cancel some 7th and 8th grade backcourt practices to be able to get our high school students into the gym. On Friday, with only having one court available in 9th grade, practices had to get pushed around, as well as on Monday, only one gym available for 3 teams of basketball again. And it will be happening again on Friday when we have a home wrestling match. Our boys basketball program's done practicing in the gym in time to set up. So, you know, there's ways to alleviate and to work around it, but in the end, the only true way to do that is to send teams on the road, and it's not good for our students to play Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, or something like that consistently on the road. Just want you to be aware of that. I did talk to some businesses, and there's probably no way to quantify all of this, but I talked to a gentleman from a business at McDonald's and said, hey, I don't need exact numbers, but if you could give me a percentage of what you noticed from a typical Saturday, which there's youth wrestling on Saturday, and a typical Friday with the wrestling tournament that we had, do you see an increase in your business? And he said he would get us those numbers. So he gave me some preliminary numbers, but we'll get the real ones. And additionally, we have some new mats going up in the walls in the gym, and I think we're going to be working on that project on Saturday with some of the sports teams and doing that. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions for me.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Review and consider approval of the minutes from the December 16th, 2014 regular board meeting. Have a motion from Lou to approve the minutes.
Second.
And I have a second from Kella. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, financial reports. December 2014 treasury report. Monthly balance sheet. Anything notable to go on there? I'll make a motion that we approve the financial reports.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, audit approval of bills.
I had the opportunity, at 6 o'clock, is that tonight, to go through the additional December bills and January bills. January bills are pretty small this time, but I would recommend approval of them with just one comment on the stadium project. I was talking to Joan earlier in the month, and right now all the funds are distributed to the places where they need to be for payment of the stadium project as of today. So the FEMA money is all spent out, and so the balance is basically we don't have any balance left, they don't have any balance left. So that's where the stadium project is right now. So you'll see some entries in here of sizable checks and stuff that went to the respective areas. So, but other than that, I would recommend approval of the bills.
So it's pretty much paid for then?
Well, no.
No, there's still money that will come in and go out. What has happened at this point is that money coming in is equal to money going out. So there's still some bills and stuff, and they still have some work, but it's a zero balance right now, because again, we don't pay anything until we get dollars.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. So moved. A motion by Lou.
I second. I made the motion.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
A motion by Mark, second by Lou. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, consent agenda. Guess we don't really have anything there. Now, in our recent packet, there's no additional items in the new packet either. Okay, so we now are on business. For the public, we have public comment on every business item, so we will be calling if somebody has questions. Number one, review and considering the following school board organizational and committee appointments. So everybody got a list on those of the different things, and we have some members that were on there that aren't in the school board at this point, and we need to fill some vacancies. So if it's agreeable with everybody, let's just start at the top, and we'd like to ask everybody that's on a committee if they're interested in staying, and if somebody else is interested in staying. Is that okay? Yep. Okay, so MSHSL, Cheryl Valcamp.
I'd like to stay with that if possible.
Okay,
Chairman, could you, because we have some new board
Mhm.
members, could you say what the actual, the assignment is and what it's about a little bit, so that we kind of all understand? And if not, we can defer to
I'll defer that one to Cheryl. She can tell us about it, because she was there last year.
Yeah, and if I could just get a clarification, these first parts are just organization representatives. They're not committees. If there are
Right.
committees, we need to post everything.
Right,
So we do post committee meetings, but not organizational
right.
meetings.
It's the Minnesota State High School League,
Okay.
and there are no committee meetings. I just pretty much review what's going on, and I confer with Max periodically about different things that are changing and going on, so that we can keep on top of things. If there's anything that needs to be discussed or decided on here.
Okay, next is the C committee. The C should be the quality in education. Just briefly for you, what that's about is truly, at the end of the day, the metro schools get a fair amount more money into their schools per pupil unit than we do out here. And it kind of puts us in a little bit of strife in comparison to them. This is a group with a lot of the smaller schools as members that kind of tries to monitor that, decide what plan of action. It can be visits to the legislature, things like that. Anybody want to add to that?
It's a great organization. It does help try to equalize, and they do come up with a platform just like MSBA. And that does come out. People that we've had on the committee have tried to help with that platform. We have a few meetings. There's some regional meetings in Sartell for the area, and there's some meetings. There's one coming up, I think, in the end of January or 23rd of January in the cities. They do bring out speakers, and it's a very well-organized group, and they have it's run very effectively, and it's interesting. A lot of information provided.
So we have an open slot there.
I'd be interested.
You'd be interested? Anybody else? Okay, then I'm gonna put Randy there. Okay, then the Stearns County Family Services Collaborative, and that's Kella Buckby. So I'm gonna lend it your way so you can tell us about it a little bit.
This is an organization with actually a little bit of money, and the districts get together along with their superintendents and discuss, as well as the Stearns County, and discuss monies that are coming in and how to disperse. But it's a small amount of money, and I would be happy to stay on that committee.
Yeah, we got a little over $6,000. There is a cost to it, so we didn't collect quite that much. It's helping to pay for our mental health staff member.
Okay, so Kella would like to stay. Cheryl, you're an alternate. You okay with that, or?
I can stay as an alternate unless someone else would like to go as an alternate.
So, anybody? Okay, we're set. Legislative liaison rep. I'm gonna pass this one to you, Bob.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't know
it's
that-
really the legislature. It's finding somebody. There's a day in the state, particularly on years like now where they're doing the funding stuff. It's the main piece of that is being aware of the legislature and their platforms and what they're looking at doing for school financing primarily. But just as importantly, it's also a day in the legislature. it's getting a group of people to go down. They're not by themselves, and then we have people there that will be there to guide the groups to talk to some of our legislatures. It's an important piece, really, because that's when they really get to hear from board members and also community members. So it's kind of gathering a group to go down.
How often does that mean for?
Typically, they go down once a year, you know, because otherwise the legislatures would just get inundated with community members. So it's kind of, they do it over certain days. What happens is our group they'll tell us when they're going down. So it's getting a group to go down there, and then, like I said, it's all set up so you're not by yourself wandering around. There's an agenda set up on who you're going to go talk to and where you're going to be.
I'd be interested in.
Okay. I didn't understand it. That's okay. Okay. Then we have the West Central Educational District, and Lou's been on that for some time.
Now that's a board made up of 4 different districts: Albany, Melrose, Sauk Center, and Paynesville. And each one has a board member plus the superintendents. We meet once every 2 months.
It's really our alternative programs that are run through West
That's
Central.
ALC is a Beacon program.
Correct.
And I'd love to stay on that. I like that.
Okay, we had Lou, we also have room for an alternate there.
Okay, go ahead as an alternate.
Okay, then we'll have Heidi down there. Then we're going to move to committees then. First one will be Continuing Education Committee, and that's Kelvin.
I'd
So,
like to stay on that if I could.
okay, can you just tell us a little bit about it?
They meet about every other month, maybe not quite that often, and it's very organized. And they go through the staff development, what they've done, and turn sheets to Mrs. Pfeiffer, and then we distribute. Well, she actually determines whether or not it meets their criteria for continuing education, and then we just kind of organize it and plan for. They also keep very close track of the 5 years when they come due for their renewal, and she lets them know. It's a nice.
It's great benefit to the teachers when they turn in junior ed credits. They have to get so many over a 5-year period, and this committee keeps track of those.
Okay, so we have Kella there. Community Education Advisory Committee, Cheryl, welcome, we have you on there. You can tell us briefly about it.
Basically, we just get an update, and it's a group of community members and Matt get together and discuss what we could do to further advance the community education program, and the PAWS program is also included in that, the daycare program based here at the school. It's just a very, very nice group of people that come up with some pretty good ideas, and we have a good discussion. It's what, 3 meetings a year? 4. I don't know, they go so fast, it seemed like 3. I'd like to stay on that if possible.
Okay, that's agreeable with everybody, we'll leave Cheryl there. The Curriculum Advisory Committee, we get together, I think this last year, it was only once or maybe twice we got together, and we just talk about kind of a self-descriptive, a little bit about curriculum. I know we've talked about just briefly a little bit of the technology stuff. We've talked about some of the testing kind of things and achievements that we have to get to. And I'm okay staying on that. And somebody else who is interested? Okay. We have the facility and equipment. And I'm on that, Lou's on that. We talked about a lot of what's going on, of needs that we have, things we have to repair, trying to set up schedules. Bob has done really well in tracking our years as we go by and projecting into the future. So we're working it on a plan for this year plus years to come, because sometimes we don't have enough money to accomplish something, but we don't want to forget it. So it's sitting there to be done a year or 2 down the road. And it's usually quite interesting. And we do have, Lou, would you like to stay? Okay. I prefer to stay.
I would like to be on the committee if possible.
Okay? Everybody okay with that? Okay. Okay, Transportation Committee, there we have one opening, Lou or Cheryl, if you wanna just, maybe mention something, Lou, possibly?
Well, it's just mostly
Pretty obvious.
negotiation, and that's about all we do. We sort of see if we can improve the transportation, but mostly it's negotiation.
So, do we have somebody be interested in transportation?
I don't understand.
You'll stay on,
I just got my feed, but I'd like to see one too.
okay? And we.
I'd like to make a comment, though. We've got an alternate on that, and it's mostly negotiations, and all of our other negotiations have 3 committee members. I think we should have 3
You
members
think
on
we
it
need 3, or?
rather than an alternate.
Yeah, I don't think we need an alternate, I agree.
You know,
Okay,
you've
then,
got one listed as an alternate.
But do you think we need 3? Yeah. So, it doesn't matter to me, but,
I don't know, we got some good discussions going on.
well, yeah, can.
What does anybody else think? It's just a thought on my part.
Does the alternate go regardless of?
No.
So just to go to the meeting?
Yeah, but well, if we could eliminate, I think Cheryl's right. I don't think we need an alternate on that. I think it either be a regular or nothing, I agree.
is anybody interested in being a third person on that committee?
They're discussing whether they think they need that third person? Is that what I'm hearing? Do they need that third person?
I think it's really up to the board on whether they want 3 members on the transportation committee.
It is a
It all depends
fairly large
on-
expenditure for the district.
It is, and if we want to be consistent with the rest of the committees that we have, 3 would be the one that we would be.
Yeah, we have 3 and all the rest of them.
The one benefit you do get is that there are times when committees, or things happen, and a committee member may not be able to make it if you've only got 2, and one doesn't make it, then it can be a little difficult for them.
But we have that already. In negotiations, there's sometimes we cannot make it.
Yeah.
So we just fill them in and stuff like
Right,
that.
but there's 3 members on all those, so it's a little bit easier even if you get 2
Well,
members.
let's just put a
there to
third
be able
one
to
on.
do it.
I would think, let's put
That's
the third
fine.
one on. What does everybody else think?
So,
I'm
That makes sense to me.
happy to take that third spot, if that's okay.
okay, is that agreeable with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, then we're on negotiations. The first one is teacher negotiations. Lou's on that one, I'm on that one. I don't know that we need to necessarily give you a lot of data on what those are about.
One thing I would really recommend is that we have one board member who is on all of those negotiations teams. I think we can maybe get by without the transportation, but it is nice for at least one board member to know what's happening in each one of the groups. So last year we did have Dave as that person.
My thought is the chair should probably be that person.
Yeah,
So that they're on
I
top
truly
of
have no
everything.
issues. I just think it's important to have one person there.
Chair.
If you're agreeable to this.
I'm on 2 of them already, so I think that would probably work.
Well, you're on the teachers one.
Yep, I'm on the teachers and administration. Okay, and then we still have a slot on every single one.
I'd be interested in teachers.
Okay, Randy,
I want to be on one of them at least.
I'd be interested in administration.
okay,
I would too.
okay, well, we have room for 2 on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got,
So Kella and Cheryl,
And I would be interested in the paraprofessionals.
okay, that sounds good.
That was Heidi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I filled in the last one. So it'd be Lou and myself and Heidi on paraprofessionals. And then it would be myself and Kella and Cheryl on administration. And then it would be Mark Dingman, myself, and we have one more in custodian, this food service and custodians.
I would take that one also.
Okay,
So who is the other one? Oh, okay, you were one.
so,
you're on.
in this meeting.
yep, I'm on that one. So
Yes.
teachers, we have Randy, Lou, and myself. On food service, we have Cheryl, myself and Mark. Administration, we have Cheryl and Kella and myself. And then paraprofessionals, we have Heidi, myself, and Lou. And agreeable with everybody? Okay, then meet and confer. We lost one spot there, and Cheryl is involved with that.
Sure, I would stay on that. It's mostly related to the calendar and the day-to-day, you know, what we're going to do with the days.
It certainly could be more than that, though, if there was a disagreement or an area that teachers or any of our other unions wanted to discuss, they could ask for a meet, confer meeting, and the same crew would be there to listen to what they have to say.
That hasn't happened yet. I would be interested in staying on that.
Okay, so Cheryl stayed on, looks like we have room for one.
I would be interested in that, I think.
Okay, and we'll move Kella to that. Now, how this works, everybody, is speak up. Because staff development, we have nobody at the moment. Staff development, maybe Bob, could you enlighten us a little bit? Or
Staff development is just what it says, so it's about staff development, what we plan for our various groups, depends on what we're talking about. So a lot of discussion about any staff development days that are coming up, what we're going to do during that time frame. We approve district-wide type of staff development because right now each school has some dollars and the district has some dollars. So we also discussed people who have come in and said, I'd like to go to this workshop.
I'd be interested in that one.
Okay.
Heidi?
Heidi.
I'm sorry.
Okay, next one is budget and finance. We have Mark Kingman and Lou Storkamp on that one with an open one there. You'd be interested in that one, Randy? Okay, everybody okay there?
Is that something that I should be involved with, being treasurer? Or does that not make a difference?
It'll probably would be appropriate. I think that's why I was put on it, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be appropriate, and you can have it.
Take you off
How gracious of you, Mark.
Very gracious.
Gracious
Gracious is a great word.
I want to be giving today. Giving.
Okay. Okay, district-wide technology committee, and Mark's on that one. I guess if I could speak up a little bit on that one. Mark's been on that committee, and they have a lot going right now. And it might not be the worst if you could stay on that.
Yeah.
Would just be my thoughts. Everybody okay with that?
Huh?
Not gonna get out of that one.
No, that one's starting to be kind of fun.
You've got your finger
We
on
got
what's
money
going
now.
on.
And then, wellness committee. Well, I'm not sure.
Wellness committee, we haven't had a lot of money for that, so it's been more active in past years when we had to come up with a wellness program that met the state needs. I would like to make it more active. It just hasn't done a whole lot. It's really talking about our wellness policies, things that we can do to try to help staff become healthier, as you might say. So if somebody's interested in that type of thing, I think we do need to make that more of a committee that's doing some things. It has been pretty inactive.
Okay. Are you interested in that one?
Sure.
Okay, agreeable with everybody? Athletic committee, we have Lou Storkamp on that, and we have an open hole there.
What do you do there, Lou?
Well, we haven't met much. We usually meet with Max, and he fills us in on what's going on, his request. We bring it back to the board, and that's all.
I'd be interested in being on
Okay. Okay, and the policy committee, that's Mark Dingman, myself, and Cheryl, and I'm interested in staying on that one myself. Are you okay with that?
that.
Cheryl? Okay. Policy committee, just so you know, Minnesota School Board Association comes up with policies on how we should operate in our meetings and how we should operate as a whole. And so Bob has the wonderful job of coordinating those and making sure we're up to date. And then we work it over to make it fit our situation. A good example of that was the public comments that we have here. Are more public comments in this district than are available almost every district in the state of Minnesota. And it's worked well for us. But we spent a lot of time working on that, and we've had some other policies that go through. It's kind of an ongoing, so there's always something going. He's always apologizing to us because he always thinks he's behind the eight ball, but there's a lot of those policies. And so I don't know how thick they would all be, but I'm guessing it's a mountain that could be 10 inches, 15 inches thick of policies. But yeah, you have to have them, and you have to have them updated. Okay, so we have the committee set. Do we have any public comment on any of these committees? Anybody? Okay. And I do not think we need to necessarily approve this, I think we're set. Right, Bob?
It does say board approved.
Yep. It does say board approved, yeah. So do we have a motion? We have a motion to accept the organization and committee assignments.
I'll second that.
By Lou, and a second by Kella. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. Review and consider designating the official meeting date and time for regular Board of Education Director meetings during the 2015 calendar year. And it looks like, Bob, you had a tentative.
We have put together a tentative comparable dates. There's a couple caveats there, like on March 10th, that could be a possible township election. We're not seeing that there's going to be one, but sometimes we have missed things and we've come back to the board and said, because of this, we need to change the date. But these are the tentative dates. Meeting times, I guess I would give you my feeling about that. Personally, I'd love to see us move it up half an hour.
Yeah, 6 o'clock would be fine.
To 6 o'clock, but I think that's, again, there's some personal reasons for that. The meetings get done sooner. I get to go watch more basketball games or whatever other activities are going on.
Make a motion, we move it to 6 o'clock.
I think I would maybe set everything, if you adopt the calendar and the time and the date for it, and maybe just make a motion to do it all at one time.
So we're talking 6 o'clock, potentially. So how about days of the week? They've historically been on Tuesdays.
Would there be any, like, moving to Monday? Is there anything that?
Yeah, I talked to Max a little bit. We do have, during the winter at least, we have less games on Mondays. During the spring, it's kind of equal, because a lot of times the weather's bad, they don't get to start right away, and it's filling those days in. So the spring, I don't think you see that advantage. You might see a little bit of advantage in the fall sports seasons. I did check with WCED that if we stay with the second, fourth meeting, then we're fine, because we meet with WCED on the third Monday every other month in the evening, so that's not a conflict. So it's certainly something the board could decide. There's nothing sacred about doing it on Tuesdays versus Mondays. It's really up to the board on what works for them.
I guess taking away socially, just my kids and every Tuesday
yeah,
events and it's kind of
I have posse meetings on Mondays.
And the other piece that we did set this as comparable dates. So if we were to decide to go to Monday, we would have to relook at all the calendar to make sure that there's not a holiday or something on a Monday.
So if we move up the time, does that help a little bit?
Well, it certainly helps. You get out sooner, and there's more of a possibility of getting to an activity if you want to do that.
So anybody got thoughts? Cheryl, Mondays are a problem for you.
Yeah.
Monday's bad, yeah.
And that's bad for you too? So how about the possibility of moving from 6:36? Everybody kind of okay with that? If you have something going on in the evening, like choir concerts, I'll see them start about 7:30. So that'll take care of anybody following kids in the choir. A lot of the basketball games are going to be about that time.
There's no way you're going to get rid of all the conflict. It just gets it earlier, so you have more of a possibility of getting this sooner.
So, and I think it's still late enough that if you have working people that want to come for public comment or whatever, we're not excluding them. I think that's kind of important that we coordinate it with them too. So, do we have a motion to have this on Tuesdays at 6? Is that where I see it's going? Okay, we have a motion by Lou. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? Any comments from the public on this topic?
Monday was also, isn't it city council day? Isn't the city council, don't the city council meet on Mondays?
I think you could be right. Any other comments?
And the motion would also be to adopt this, these dates.
Tentative calendar.
Times. And
The
then,
township elections, I think, don't include Paynesville Township, but a bunch of the other townships, I think, do have their elections still on that date. So we'll have to, yeah. Just for the new board members, what happens is, when we get all of that set, Bob will come around, and usually we have a good month or so to know that the meeting is gonna change.
yeah, if you adopt these dates, I would, and something needs to change because of an election or a different reason, I would just come forward and say we need to change this date. You would do it and make a vote at a board meeting with enough advance notice so that other people would be aware of that.
Okay, so the motion standing is 6 o'clock on the second and fourth Tuesdays, except for a couple of the months where there's one meeting.
Yeah, whatever he has here.
And all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. Then review, consider approval of board of directors stipend for regular, special, and committee and organizational meetings during the 2015 calendar year.
For your information, I did in your packet, and I think the community also has this, what other surrounding districts do, just to give you a little bit of guidance and get some information before you decide. Currently, in Paynesville is listed there for what we do.
I would make a motion to leave them as is. That would be my thought.
I guess, my thought is, I understand, you know, we've had this year $40 for forever and a day. And I think as, you know, everything else changes and stuff like that, I know we get a lot of emails from Bob or a lot of phone calls from Bob during the day and stuff like that for different various things. And I know that there's a few districts around us that do get a stipend, just a flat stipend for the board, just for the board meetings themselves for the month. And that ranges anywhere, I know, just in the paper, Sartell, I believe, and they're getting like $3,400 a year. You know, it's crazy. I'm not saying that we need to go that direction or anything like that, but I think just for the board meetings themselves, and the special, like for an example, if you have to have a special board meeting and stuff, this would all include that. And I would make the recommendation just to go ahead and put it to $100 a month for every special board meeting or regular scheduled board meeting. And then for any committee meetings, to leave it at the $40. And then whatever, we have a policy right now that if it's over 5 or 6 hours, then we move it to, I think it's $80 or something. It's just something that, you know, that there's a lot of work behind the scenes that we do instead of just at the board meetings themselves. Especially, it seems like it's getting more and more as time goes on. Like I said, that's just my thought about it. Like I said, I've been on it for so long, and it's been basically the $40 forever and a day. And you know, I think we have to be fair to ourselves of our time and efforts that we're putting into it. And if there's other
Now,
districts,
explain that, Mark. Now, just a flat 100 a month.
Yep. Then that would take care of any of your board meetings. Like the 2 board meetings a month.
Okay.
And then if there's a special board meeting that Bob would call, for example, we get called once in a while to fill out some paperwork because we have, for whatever reason, a deadline to make a motion or something like that. We're there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, but we still have to drive in and so on and so forth. Those happen occasionally too. Then we're going to be actually doing like a planning meeting. That would be part of that meeting too. Because there's also times where you're not going to make it, but you put in all the time and effort. You call Bob on the phone, do your time and stuff like that. And I just think that's kind of a fair way. But the committees now, again, I think that's a separate issue. And I think that would be fine to leave that at the $40 and then whatever we have for the policy. And just kind of go that direction. Because I mean, $40 right now, a meeting. Everybody else is at 50, you know, so. I don't know, I think it's just for the people that are working in the business or just working themselves to take off, you know, during the day or during different times that you're asked to do, at least it's something. I mean, it's fuel worth of wages. I don't know, that's just my thought.
Okay, we actually have a motion on the floor at this time. Lose motion still.
Well, I could have a friendly amendment to that motion.
I don't know, it's just a thought. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. I mean, you see the data in front of you. You kind of see what you're up against. Like I said, that is not going to make or break me one way or the other. I'm just kind of looking at what's fair in the industry or what's everybody else doing around us and stuff like that. And there's some, even in our own town, it's getting way more money than that to sit on a meeting board. So,
Oh, yeah.
So, I just don't want to sell ourselves too short because we do have a big responsibility. I was just listening to you two when you were going through your oath and stuff, and just brings back memories of when I had to go through that. That's a lot of our responsibility. It is the whole school system. Every child that you see now in your school system is you're responsible for. But anyhow, I'll get off my.
Okay, so.
I could retract that or a friendly motion to include Mark's motion. Either way you want to do it.
Okay, maybe it would be best for you just to retract your motion,
I can do that.
and then do you want to make a motion accordingly then?
Sure, I can.
That probably more appropriate. So we have Lou retracting his motion. That should be, and then Mark is talking about $100 per month.
Yep.
Is that just,
Regular and special
Yeah.
board.
Regular and special board meetings.
so if we have any regular board meetings, special board meetings,
Yep.
workshops,
Yep.
that would be included for the
Yep.
$100 a month then?
Yep.
Okay, so, and policies would remain at $40?
Yep.
So if you come in for a committee meeting
Yep.
of some type, then that would be for $40 then?
Yep. And then if there's an all-day meeting, then it goes to that policy which indicates anything over.
So the good example would be the MSBA conference
Right.
coming up then. So
Yeah.
that would go to the $80 then, because every
Yeah.
day, because it's an all-day meeting.
Correct.
Well, two of them are all-day
Yeah,
meetings.
so the only thing the only thing is gonna be the board meetings, special board meetings, or any special board meeting during the month would be all fall underneath that $100 a month.
No matter how many.
No matter how many, I mean. Then it's just then we have consistency, and that's what it is.
I think that.
Okay, you got that?
Yeah, but-
Okay,
but-
and
So that's my motion.
that's the motion, and a second from Lou. Any further discussion? At the board? Okay, we are on public comment with every business item, so any public comment on this one? Okay, no public comment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. And that takes care of that. Review and consider approval of Board of Directors officer stipend for the 2015 calendar year. So that'd be in the last column. Presently, the chair is $125, clerk $50, treasurer is $50.
Look at the comparison, it goes very low, yeah.
I mean, the chair, I think, again, back to the whole idea of what we're trying to do here, and I think the chairperson, they do a lot of extra work, and right now, it looks like we're paying by far the least amount for the chair position. I would at least recommend to the, to at least get to where the $200, that's the next lowest one. For that chair position, if that is the direction that we want to go. Because it's not a fun job.
Well, and I have one thought on the treasurer.
No, treasurer, oh yeah, treasurer.
Yeah.
No, chair.
Yeah, you were talking about the chair.
Chair, yeah.
Yeah, but we have kind of three of them together
Oh,
here.
are we lumping them all three?
Yeah, the treasurer is one where that person has to show up every single Friday that we have to approve bills. It's a little bit different than myself filling the chair's position where it can be somewhat variable. There's no variation to the treasurer's position either. So just food for thought on that. Lou and I don't know where you sit on that. Do you have other things going on? You went to the office?
Well, I come in
Right
once in a
off
while,
the
and then I come in once in a while, sign papers, when they call me.
So. How about, what's the possibility of maybe just leaving that alone for now?
Okay.
We're making a change and already in the other statements. And maybe we just leave it as is for
Fine with me?
a year and we can talk about it again a year from now? Sure. Is that moving too slow or?
Works for me.
Okay, so we probably need a motion to
Leave,
have,
leave the current amounts in place.
so do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Mark to leave the chair, clerk, and treasurers at the same statement. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second by Cheryl.
Any comments to the?
Yep. Any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay. Review and consider approval of an administrative assistant statement for taking the minutes at the board meeting.
Currently, it's in your addendum, and at the present time, the administrative assistant gets a lump sum, this is $250 for the year, and she gets comp time for a meeting that she's attending. So, or whether you want to do the same, raise it, or recommend reducing it.
We should probably first ask if she's still willing to do.
She has given me no indication at this time that she's not willing to continue.
Is that correct? Okay. I'll make a motion that we leave the statement the same. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Lou. Any further discussion? Any comments from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Review and discuss which reports the board wants to include in their board packet. Okay, this is the discussion that we had previously. I guess I have a little bit of an issue when I take the expenditure program, which is right out of our mainframe, okay, our mainframe computer, And it's one step more defined than what we get at the beginning for years or slumped together. It kind of tells us when we look at bills that the treasurers has approved, that were in budget and everything. But when I look at it, if I compare the year-to-date number of $4,180,174.75, and then when I go to, let's see, we would be 6 months on the PMA report, and I get to the general fund total, it's $36,61,894. I believe that's coming from some debt reduction, building construction funds, something on that order. But then, are you guys following me?
No.
So go to the last page of this one, and go down to where it says 7/1/14 to 12/31/14, and go right down to the bottom on page 3 and 4, and you will see that that's $3,661,894. When we get to the expenditure report, which is this one, this is the one that kind of breaks down that summary report. The year-to-date is $4,180,174. If you compare that to this report, which is the summary of the more detailed report, that number matches. And I'm guessing it has to do with the numbers, a few of the numbers, I couldn't get it to match up. But when I go to PMA, and this would be the 5 columns in from the right-hand side, it's $36,61,894. I guess my experience over time is I never really was a fan of loading data out, transferring it to another company's data, and then getting it back to you. What we report to auditors, what we report to everybody is right on our mainframe. And this report is right off the mainframe. We're not transferring it to anybody, we're not having, it's not a colorful report. Not to say that maybe we wouldn't want that report once in a while, but I just don't see it. We're managing by a budget. So we accept a budget, we update a budget, and I know that when I talk to Joan, if you get more detailed than this, now you've got a great big report that's not. And we were curious when we were looking at it, how many pages this is going to be, because we didn't know. But we just moved to 4 pages. So I guess if I had a preference, I'd like to see us have this one. I think for anybody in the public, it's a little more clearly defined as to what we have. Questions that have come up in the budget when we're paying like an annual fee for something. I can't think of insurance. So we were paying insurance in August for like an annual premium. Well, it looked like if we were maybe out of budget a little bit. We weren't. It was right on budget. It was just, there was no explanation of it until you could see it here. Right? So then it would identify it. I think in these summaries here are still valuable. So you have a quick summary of that. The revenue summary, I don't know there, I guess I couldn't see any more detail. To a degree, we have no control of the revenue coming in really, except through referendums, political action of the government in some form or another, and we many times don't have control of what that is, but I think that's a pretty decent summary report. Any thoughts on that one? Do you mind if we just go through them one by one like this?
Sure.
So can I ask for clarification if this one is out?
We're deciding.
Okay.
Debating.
So, I guess I'm okay with the revenue summary on this. Does anybody think we need more detail on that? No. We also have the ability to ask Joan for more detail if we want. And the key that we have here is, again, we're not leaving our mainframe computer to get the reports. These are right off of reports she can just run. Makes it simple. And then, Mark, I need to include you on there were certain reports, I believe, if we go to the trial balance summary of all the different groups, Mark, didn't you say that that was something that we for sure had to print? Or didn't I hear somewhere that we had to print that one?
You know, there are no rules and regulations on what the board has to have in a packet. It's up to the board to decide what they will find useful.
And for, which one are you looking at?
I was looking at the trial balance summary report. It's for the media club, the tech club, cross-country cheerleading, baseball. Kind of shows what their starting balance was, credits and debits and everything.
Okay, so when I went through the treasurer's meetings, and now Cheryl's gonna go through it, and we'll see once if anything has changed. But when I went through it a few years ago, they recommended that at least periodically that this year is being visited by the board, so they kind of know what is going on, because these funds can be tampered with very easily, and you have to make sure that, because it's run still through the school, you still have to be accountable for them, but they are students' accounts. So you just have to be very careful, and if it's basically just another set of eyes on the program, or on these here funds, for us to just kind of say, yes, we do recognize that they're there, and we recognize that we cannot really see anything funny business going on with it. And so that's kind of why I always said, you know, at least periodically, this year should come to the board so everybody knows what monies are in there and what we're responsible for at the end of the day.
Is it possible for us to have like a quarterly report on this?
Sure.
And then we would just save some paper, because sometimes it
If
doesn't.
you wanted it every 4 months or whatever, so, you know, up to the board, we would certainly.
Yeah, it's just something that we have an eye on, so that if somebody looks at it and says, what is all this money in this particular account? And then we can, obviously, we're not gonna probably be able to answer it right here at the board meeting, but then we can go ahead and get a hold of Joan, and somebody might wanna sit with her and just go, and the treasurer might wanna sit with her and then get that information to us back and stuff, so. And that's kind of the same thing as with all the bills. Everyone, that's not, is one of those other ones that really don't have to come to the board too often. We do have to, as a board, have to adopt the bills. It's just nice to see that those bills, so that if there is something that stands out, again, that we are paying the bills appropriately, basically what it amounts to at the end of the day. Not that there is some bills that are being given to, well, we have this MSBA meeting coming up, you know, making sure that the monies that we're spending in our account, you know, for when we're down there is appropriate. And those are some of the things that we just have to be aware of and understand that, you know, there are liabilities and we're still responsible for it at the end of the day.
So your thoughts, based on some experience with, you kind of moved to the checks payable?
But for this year one, we could do a quarterly or every 4 months or 5 months or whatever, or biannually. It doesn't, just so that we are looking at it.
Okay. If that's somewhat in agreement with everybody, let's hold that off, we'll add it to a motion maybe. But anybody see that we need that every month?
And we really don't need a motion. All you're doing is telling us what you want in your packet. This is not, if you say this is what we want, then you're gonna get that. It's not necessarily a motion. I don't believe we need to have any action on this other than to look at me and say, Bob, this is what we want. If you want some reports every 3 months, every 4 months, it'd be nice for those reports to do them all the same month, so that we just know that those months you get the couple additional reports.
Okay, so your thoughts on these?
On the web.
On the check register.
The check register is, again, one of those things where I think it's just nice to have it out there in the public that these are the bills that we adopt every month. And it only takes us a couple minutes to go through it and to make the motion. Everybody has the ability to look at them, and if there's a question that somebody has on a particular bill of why we spend this much money on such and such, it kind of is also kind of a thing for the new board members to understand where some of this money is actually going to. also, so. I always personally like to look through them just to see once where they are. It's kind of eye-opening,
Okay,
and we're responsible for it.
then, we then have our, treasurer's report. This one right here. So any thoughts on that report?
I kind of like that because it gives you an overall view of where they, a quick glance of where every,
Where our
Fund
cash
is.
is, where our cash is at.
yep, where our cash is at.
I agree, that's a nice summary.
Took an easy one.
Okay, and then, monthly, balance sheet.
That one I can go with. It's just too cumbersome. I mean, it's just, You have to be
there,
accountable.
that would be asking as far as I'm
I'm just
concerned.
letting you guys make a decision, and I'd like you to go through every form and tell me what you want us to do.
Yeah, because
So,
this one, we're watching that, we're managing by the budget. Now we're gonna see our expenses by budget. We're gonna see our expenses by check. We're gonna see a couple of summaries of revenue. This thing here,
Doesn't say a whole lot.
well,
yeah,
it says a lot if you're
Well,
in
yeah.
that accountant type thing where the things are going and stuff, but for us, I don't
anybody got
think.
any thoughts on that one? Okay, the thing about it for board members and we can have more detail if we have questions about something, because that's all will happen. If you call Joan and have a question, she's gonna print out some detail. Okay, so that one is the circular file. Okay, the trial balance, I think we're on a quarterly. So now we're on the PMA report.
Bruce, I do have a question there. Up on the corner of these PMA reports, you've got your 0 to 99, which you can also have in your other report here. And it breaks it down, says administration, and then we go down to district support from 100 to 199. Now, this report doesn't do that. It would be nice if there was just a little recap on the end, or something saying that, okay, 100 to 199 belongs to district support services. See what I'm saying?
Or just a cheat sheet?
Yeah, just so you would know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I see that I'd like to see there.
and I can't tell you without talking to Joan, whether that's possible for us to produce that in a report.
I don't think you'll have to really, because it's got numbers on there.
It's got the numbers already. This
Yeah,
is-
so it would just be a single print cheat sheet that would just tell us that,
Or just tell
0
you
to
what
199.
what the numbers
Yeah,
represent. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's all in here. That's a good point, Randy. And then if all of a sudden we decide not to have this report here, it'll be on there. Good point.
Well, the cheat sheet's on the back.
But we'd have to keep.
It's easy enough to put something together that just tells you what the numbers represent.
Okay, well, maybe we just print the back sheet, and that will be everybody's cheat sheet. Does that look like it'll work?
Yeah, because all you need is the same sheet, so it's just running on what you have already have.
So does this report cost us extra money?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's coming with our service that we're buying anyway? So if we would decide that around budget time, we might want to look at a report like this, we
I
probably
think
could
you
get
get
it.
it generated, or you just need.
Or I think this would be probably a good one for when it gets to that point for the committee members that are on the budget, finance committee. Because there's things then at that time that there's gonna be more information that we could talk about and where we are today and stuff like that, but I don't think for a daily or on a monthly basis that I would need to look at this, because, as soon as you see something red, you know it's off. Well, that does not get corrected until maybe at the end of the year. So we're always looking at, why is that red there?
Yeah.
You're always, especially if somebody from the public says, well, why is it red there? No, and then it just gets confusing, because we pay for so much stuff at the beginning of the year, but we allocated out for the entire year, so we don't see that zero balance or whatever until the end almost.
So if we make this report like an on-demand,
Yes.
if the board wants to see it or a committee wants to see it, we can produce it.
Yes, but I would say ask for it because if I have to read minds, it becomes more difficult for me.
I think when you
Well,
have
you're
some,
very good at that.
but I think it's, Bob, when you have something that's really weird that we need to be aware of, maybe you could print this out and say, now look online this, and that's why that is like
Yeah,
this here.
typically, you know, unless there's a big number, I mean, I have to go through these ones because it's a small adjustment to the budget today.
Right.
You know, if we have a bigger piece, you know, whether we do it this way or not, I mean,
Right.
the trouble is workman's compensation, for instance. You know, we wait on that until the very end, or it's a big negative for a long period of time, but I know that it's not an issue because things get dispersed when they, you know, Carl Perkins is the same way. You know, we may go into the negative, but we know that the dollars are coming in, that's gonna balance that thing out.
Right, but if there would be something really different, I mean, I can't think of what it would be, but you would come and talk to us anyhow before.
My guess is that if there's something that different, you're gonna hear about it long before you get any report, but. You know,
Okay, so at this point, the clubs and everything, that will be a quarterly report, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Okay, and Ashcan,
Okay, okay, so this one is going out to us to ask for.
yeah, that one will be on demand,
This one is going out.
this one's going out,
Okay.
yeah.
This
And
one is quarterly,
that one's quarterly,
okay?
and all the rest of the reports we're keeping, right?
Yep.
And they're right off our mainframe. Okay.
And that's including the new report that we spoke about last time?
So what I see then is this quarterly, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other reports then. That's all right? Okay.
I have 6, correct. Okay? Okay, so. Notes here. Okay, we are done there. Any public comment on the reports? Okay, next item will be personnel. Review and consider approval of maternity leave for Diane Kemper, teacher, for 8 weeks starting approximately April 25th, 2015.
So moved.
Motion by Cheryl, a second by Lou. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, we have Lori Froller on the school principal report, secondary school.
Before the break, we had kind of a busy season with our band and choirs presenting their holiday concerts, and a few of our choir students just came back from the Doreen Festival. That is an invite and competitive program that some students get to go to, and Ms. Funham just brought those students back today. Also, over the holiday break, it was fun to see a lot of our 2014 graduates come in to collect their Dollars for Scholars checks. They have to go through 1 semester of college coursework and show that they've completed it to pick up the scholarships that they have been given. And we have $19,680 going out in scholarships from our Dollars to Scholars program this year. So it was fun to see all the graduates come back, and they like to visit with teachers, etc. Our 6th grade winter camp, students leave tomorrow, and I'm really glad it's this week and not last week. So we will be packing up the buses tomorrow. On our Mr. Young's law class did team up with the Paynesville Police Department last week, and we did a fake crime scene where we had, it was set up as having a person that had died in our backstage. And the students took on all the different roles of crime investigation and trying to figure out what happened, and along with the police department who we had come in, and did a really nice job. And they found out what happened, and it actually played out a little different than the real crime scene that they mimicked through the help of Paul Wagner, our police chief. But the students had a great experience, kind of a real life role play. During our workshop that we had, when we had our staff come back, Maria Rasmussen did a nonfiction reading strategies for our whole building, which was very good for our staff. And then we had, I don't know if Mr. Orline talked about our presentation.
No,
earlier.
he's supervising right now at the gymnastics. And
Oh, okay. We had Dave Stern, who is an EBD teacher, or was for years, and then a co-op, and is now working with our special ed staff and working with programming for students in that area. We also had a speaker come in, and he also spoke to our whole staff in working with students suffering with depression or anxiety or just mental health needs in the classroom, and how as educators we can help support that, also help identify it, and what other resources are out there that we can help families get in touch with. And it was a real good program for our staff to hear and revisit those topics. So that was a good day for our staff. Our technology groups have met, both working with students, with teachers, also our technology committee. And over in this building, our wish list that we're going to look at purchasing, if everything falls together, is going to include laptops to complete the laptops needed for our STEM program. As we build that program, we'll need more laptops and a cart. 1 to 2 Chromebook carts that would consist of 30 Chromebooks each, 30 iPads, 8 projectors, replacing some of the projectors in the building, but that will work more fluidly with iPads for the instruction in the classroom. Possibly, depending on where all the fundings come in, is a 3D printer for part of our STEM program. That would be in the design and modeling as we hopefully go into the robotics and automation program for next year. Natalie Utch will be going to a workshop here that's put on by U of M to possibly look at our animal science class becoming a college accredited course. So it wouldn't be an additional course, it would just kind of be that flip-flop. U of M is a little more expensive when we look at that concurrent program, so we'll talk about that more when budget comes our way. And I'm just finishing up our Carl Perkins budget to be submitted, and I'll let you know when that comes through. And those are dollars that are used within our CTE program. They're really looking at a lot of those dollars more towards student experiences on field trips and staff development. They're tending to fall away from supplying the equipment for those programs, which in our case, with a tightening budget, those are expensive labs to run, but there's still a few dollars there for equipment as well. Any questions that you might have as things going on at our building over here at the secondary?
Oh, I just have one comment. I would guess, I mean, especially with a couple more new board members, the acronyms that you use and stuff like that.
Okay.
Sometimes it's nice to know exactly what these are instead of, that looks kind of cool.
Yes,
So.
Please stop me and I will try to do that. Our STEM program is our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics program. That is our Project Lead the Way classes. We implemented 2 of them this year, our biomedical science class in the high school, and then we also started a 7th grade modeling and design where they use a CAD-like program in creating of a lot of different things. And then hopefully if phase 2 goes through, keeping in mind budget, an 8th grade class would be added, which would be automation and robotics, and then possibly looking at the high school, which would be an engineering class. And the 2 high school courses would also allow students to get college credit through any state university. So that's the STEM program, but thank you, Mark.
So are those 2 classes we're gonna add this year?
I'm hoping to. Everything comes down kind of in that final budget.
So
piece.
how do we coordinate, when do the kids actually sign up for classes?
Good question,
As compared
Bruce.
to when
Yep,
the budget
I
occurs, it
actually
seems like sometimes that's like this a little bit.
Yeah, we just finished updating our curriculum guide, so that will go out to students the last week of this month, working with advisors, and then with a worksheet, et cetera, and then parents will come in during conferences to talk with parents and the student to come up with their class schedules. So Jackie and I will be meeting with them the last week of January, talking about the different classes and that whole process with the students. And then advisors talk with them to answer questions that whole for 2 weeks there, and then we have the actual conferences where parents, students, and the advisors come up with that tentative plan as far as what classes they want. Then we put them all into the system, and then I come back to you with a proposal for classes, depending on those student
So these
number
2
counts.
projects lead the way that we're gonna add are gonna be in that manual?
It will be in the manual, but it will still be up to us to offer it or not offer it, depending on the budgets that we see and the numbers that we see wanting in the class. If we don't offer a class, which does happen, because we kind of look at the electives between 10 to 15 are as questionable, and to decide which ones we offer and which ones we don't, which is always a hard decision. If we don't offer a class, then we go back to the student and say, what would be your second choice? So I'm hoping we do, but at the same time, you know, it comes down to those final budgets.
So have we selected a committee for that Project Lead the Way? When we had the original data,
It would be
they talked
that.
about there was a committee of, like where we had industry and
Because of
maybe.
because of that committee kind of stayed pretty small, I'm just carrying that same committee over. So we're hoping to meet again here in the end of January.
And we have some of the people from industrial park in that.
Yeah, like Leo Lewis and Lance Lewis is one. Jamie from Roto Chopper. So, and I've just kept it open instead of just picking out a few. I think just keeping everyone that has been involved from the beginning as part of that round table.
Yep, well, that's excellent.
That's kind of what I just decided. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. So elementary school principal, I think we just.
I have a little bit of information that I'll share that David gave me, just it's the technology piece that I'll provide some information, so.
Well, you're next
Just wait.
in line then.
Well, I think Matt is next in line, why don't you just, I'll just, during my report, I'll fill in a little bit.
Okay,
of
do it on
information
that, okay.
Okay, we're busy currently planning our spring program and brochure. Our pause attendance has averaged over 25 after school and 15 before school, and we're busy planning the summer program. That'll be all summer long, and it'll be 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the summer pause camp. We just launched a new Quick Fit workout for new members in the fitness center. And if I could get a picture of the board together with the new board after the meeting for the website, that would be great. Any questions?
See, on the pause, how do we compare to other programs that have started? We are doing really well, aren't we?
We're above what I was projecting for this year, for the first year.
Good. Okay, then Bob, we're back to you for
Just
yours in
a
elementary.
couple quick updates on the elementary. Dave kind of gave it, he's purchased with the dollars that came in for question number 1 right now. Looking at 60 Chromebooks, purchasing that, 61 management license. These are just the things that all add up. Chromebook cards, he needs a couple of those because of the Chromebooks that he's picking up. Purchase some iPads for special ed and cases that go with those. Laptops 8, laptop cart 1, and just smart board projectors. So those are the types of things right now that they're using those dollars that we got from question number 1 to purchase for the classroom at this time. And this has all been run through our technology committee also, so they're very much aware and we're all supportive. Other pieces, building project, still waiting. Just got my second proposal from another group for helping us with some of the ventilation pieces. I just need to look at it now and see where we're going to get the best bang for the buck. There's a little bit of a difference between the two, but sometimes you gain a lot more by paying a little bit more. So I'm looking at that. Same with architects. I'm waiting for another company to give me a proposal on the roof projects so that they have to do the specs, the bidding, those types of things. So I'm trying to get that done. Snow makeup day, just be aware, one snow makeup day will be on January 20th. That's the first one. The second one, because of the cold, we'll make it up on February 16th. That's President's Day, and I'm just going down by our calendar on what we had put in the calendar for snow makeup days. I would love it if we didn't have another one after that. Technology Committee, we had a meeting today. We discussed purchase of staff computers for next year. It's going to be about $67,475. Now remember, that's for next year. We are looking at how we budget that. Certainly my technology people would like those computers as quick as they can. But again, we don't get the dollars till the levy for next year. So I may see if we can manage it in our financial year this year so that they get them sooner so they can start getting them set up for our staff, because these are staff computers. We'll also check with the companies and see if they'll just let us purchase them and then pay for it at the start of the new school year. So that was one thing that we looked at. Need to develop a technology plan for the state. We're running this in the last year of that. There's E-rates and other things that we get because we have that technology plan in place. Plus, with the new levy dollars, we're going to want to have that in place either way. So we're going to try to complete that by the end of the year. We've done some work on it already, but we still have more to do. We also discussed staffing for technology. A lot of good discussion. We're looking at various models. When our current technology person retires, part of that plan was always to bring somebody on board to help teach teachers how to best use the technology most appropriately. So we're looking at getting some job descriptions, those types of things put together. We discussed how we'll proceed with purchasing of student computers, because that's a much bigger bill. You know, that I think last time we did it was more like $150,000. Well, we're not going to have that in any given year because of that, so it may be that we want to put the levy money away for a couple of years so that we don't have to borrow money in any manner or lease computers in any manner. It's just best bang for us. So we also talked about that. 2 fundraiser reports, just to let you know. FFA had fruit and snack sale, or fruit and, it says stick, so I'm assuming that that's what they call it. In the end, between revenues and expenditures, they made $5,326.51. They also had a corn drive. They did donate, they made $1,923.83, of which $499 went back to the chapter, and they also had some computers, or scholarships. And some of the money is used also for the Camp Courage donation. So that's how they did that. So that's that as far as enrollment. We're a +2 in ECSE. We're a +5 in K5, but we are down to -6 in K-12. So, but good news is that we're staying pretty square with our enrollment so far. Remember last year we were down about 39 students from what we thought. We have the great honor of having the Office of Civil Rights come in and do a study on us. Lori and I will have much information to have to provide for them. We have to do it on a very short period of time. It appears to be primarily about the secondary building, so Dave kind of lucked out a little bit on that. I've talked to some superintendents who have gone through this. The only thing I can promise is no fun. As far as the calendar, just a reminder, Labor Day is really late next year. I haven't heard from the state legislatures on what they plan to do with that. I know that it's a lot of work to try to have the state allow us to start early. I did talk with a resort owner, and that person is very much fine with us starting anytime in September. And if we could do that, we'd be able to get 3 solid days in before Labor Day, which I don't think would impact our resort businesses at all. I just don't know how easy it will be to get a reprieve from the state so that we can start early. It's, in my opinion, it's a little silly, even if they just said you can start in September. I think, based on what I'm hearing, it would be fine with our resort businesses, but I still don't know what they're gonna do on that. I put together a couple tentative calendars. I met and meet and confer. I have some changes to make. I think based on some suggestions and discussion with staff, I think there's some good ideas that we can look and incorporate. I'll be bringing that back to the board when I think I have no choice. I'd wait as long as I could, just because the state came up with a ruling on that, then I'd rather start before Labor Day. Okay, transportation, we're still working on that. It just seems to be a slow process with getting the information going back and forth. And until I get all the information we need, I'm just not willing to settle until we come to a situation that is workable for both groups. Be aware that if you're on either the policy committee, the budget and finance committee, or facilities committee, you're probably going to have meetings coming up. So just keep a lookout for your email, and we'll be posting those. Also, those new to the board, I will bring a few places out because you haven't heard presentations. I will ask the C group to come out and present. They give you a good presentation, so that, and I think it's a good reminder to the board in general, but particularly also to our new board members on what they do for the district. And also I'll have the WCED come out every time we've done new board members. I've had them come out to talk about the alternative programs that we do. I think that is it.
How did you get chosen? How did we get chosen by the Office of Facilities?
They tell me that, although they wouldn't tell me what factors, they just say there were some factors that got us chosen. But you know, other school districts don't know. I don't know what to say. I just know that it's going to be a lot of work, and there will be a lot of things for us to change after they come in. Just, you know, it's just going to be the way it is.
Anything else from the board? Any comments? Again, welcome to the 2 new board members. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion by Lou to adjourn. Second by Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no.